We arrived at the Danube Delta, one of the bucket list places that we definitely wanted to get to on this trip. We had an early start, out at 7 a.m, which was so the right thing to do. We joined another couple from the campsite and climbed on board the boat, which was owned and driven by Ovidiu, the campsite owner. We were so interested to see and film the bird life here, so Ben got out his humongous lens. He said that he really needed his tripod to video. He also thought that some of you might want to know that when using the crop sensor mode on the camera, this is effectively a 900mm lens and extremely tricky to use handheld, particularly from a moving boat. Here you can see what we mean. To help overcome that, he used lots of high frame rate filming so that he could slow it down in the editing, hence quite a bit of slow-mo. We've also included some fabulous stills. See what you think. The Danube Delta is the second largest river delta in Europe, the first being the Volga in Russia. The delta, though, is the best preserved. Most of its over 4,100 square kilometres is in Romania. Around 20% of the northernmost area lies in Ukraine. The delta is a World Heritage Site. Some facts about the delta. It was formed around 4000 BCE, so what we can see today is 6,000 years old, although navigation channels were dug in the early 20th century and the sedimentation has changed as the flow of the Danube has been modified with dams and other projects such as forest clearing. The delta has many channels and lakes, the largest of which is over 21 square kilometres. Where the main distributaries meet the Black Sea, they continue to deposit sediment, which means that the delta is constantly expanding. The delta also has the largest reed bed in the world. Now about the birds. 274 bird species have been identified, of which 132 are migratory birds. The area has great nesting and feeding opportunities during the right time of the year to support the migrations. We stayed at Camping Delta in the village of Murighol, a small site with 6 places. Ovidiu takes great pride in his fabulous site and knows how to treat his customers well. We highly recommend it as a great place to stay. Ovidiu even arranged for his cousin to cook us a delicious local dinner. Ovidiu is a local man who's lots of interesting knowledge about the delta and life here. He runs boat trips to suit the customer, and they can be 4, 6 or even 10 hours long. It is important to say that Ovidiu is very careful with his boat navigation so that he disturbs the wildlife and the environment as little as possible. But you can see that however carefully you steer your boat, you cannot get too close to the herons without them taking to the wing. made a couple of stops along the way on our 6-hour trip. One stop was at a village called Crisan, deep in the heart of the delta. The village was created years ago by the communist regime, who wanted to use the rich resource of sand from the dunes to make glass. They built a big factory and even apartment blocks for the workers. However, before everything was completed, in 1989 the regime fell and the factory idea was abandoned. There is a small fishing village still there with about 200 inhabitants, and even a school with one classroom where only a few kids attend of different ages. We walked around the abandoned apartments which have been taken over by wild horses and donkeys. We also popped into the little shop cum bar and had a drink with some of the local fishermen. When we returned to the boat, we were now in the full heat of the midday sun. Thanks Ovidiu for a tremendous experience. It is certainly a place we would like to come back to in the future. After the Delta trip, we packed up and headed south down the Black Sea coast to our next destination. Recording, darling?
Yeah. Okay. Hello. Right, well, we're on our way down from the Danube Delta here in Romania towards Bulgaria.
Yeah. So we were told about this site by the owner of the last campsite. Thanks a lot. It's a freebie. It's just further down the coast, not quite into Constanta. It's, well, I think you might be able to see really, we're right on the beach. I mean, right on the beach. Absolutely fabulous. Had a great night last night. It's quite hot, but it cooled right off and it was quiet. When we arrived, the place was rammed because it was Sunday, and I think we had lots of people, local people probably coming down for the day. But then it sort of like, you know, emptied really. So yeah, absolutely amazing. And we're on our way to Bulgaria.
That's right, yeah. I think we're probably going to have tomorrow at Constanta. Yeah. Because it does look like a lovely town to go and visit. One thing, when we arrived yesterday, we did have a little bit of an accident. If you see the sides here where you pull off the roadway here, I actually pulled into one and found that the sand was a little bit soft, so we had our first ever test of our Max tracks, and I can confirm they work beautifully. I would rather not have had to find that out the hard way, but anyhow, it was a fairly easy recovery. Got the shovel out, dug out some sand, and put the tracks under the back wheels, and we were out in no time. So,
and that's true. He was out in no time, and I have to say there was a local guy, and I'm sure he was hovering. He owned a really nice big truck with a big
4x4.
Yeah, it was amazing, and I'm sure he was hovering in the hope that he could say, "Do you want a hand?"
Yeah.
But and he walked away a little bit disappointed and rejected when Ben managed to move it.
I think he was very impressed with the way we managed to get ourselves out so quickly.
I think he was disappointed. But there we go.
Yeah. Anyhow, we're walking down the beach now. There's a cafe bar down here. We're going to get a bite to eat, and we might see you there. This is the borscht with, it says with fritters, with fish fritters. They're basically fish meatballs. They're very, very tasty.
And mine is borscht with mixed fish. And it too is very, very tasty. And they've given us these looking great big chilies to have with it if we want. But I'm not having mine. But I will take it back and put it in the fridge to use in cooking.
Splendid. Beer's very nice too. Cheers. Well, good morning.
Hey!
We've made an early start. We're on the road at 7 from this lovely park up we've been at the last 2 days on the beach here in Romania. We are now heading down the coast, the Romanian Black Sea coast, and later today we will be entering our 10th country of this trip.
Woo!
Yeah, it's exciting, isn't it?
Amazing. Yeah.
And then we'll be touring that country for the next 2.5, 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So as we're just going to be leaving Romania today, we thought we'd just tell you a little bit about what we thought about the country. Now, one thing you've just seen, the road. From my perspective, driving on these roads, the vast majority of Romanian roads have been absolutely perfect. Really, really good. Clearly, a lot of investment gone in the last few years. But there are some spots where the roads are not so good. And this is one of those. What else do we want to say about Romania?
Well, I want to say quite a lot about Romania. I want to say that it's been amazing, absolutely lovely. The people are they just seem so happy to see you, don't they?
Yeah.
I think they really want people to come and see their country. That's amazing. We've seen all sorts of stuff. We've seen lush green mountains. We've seen arid land. We've seen the sea. It's just one thing after another, really. This bouncy road is incredible.
It is. I'm just picking my way through a huge hole there.
It's not expensive at all. You know, your money goes a long way here. Campsites have been interesting. So the majority of the campsites that we've stayed on have been in people's gardens. They've converted nice countryside homes, their gardens, into little campsites with all the facilities. That's been lovely. We haven't done much wild camping here. 2 nights on this beach.
One thing that we found with the campsites is they don't seem to have facilities for dumping grey waste.
No.
One did have a very nice one. So for our grey waste, we've been finding drains on the side of the road and parking over those drains and dumping it. Trying to be as responsible as we can, but not having proper purpose-made facilities at sites.
Yeah. Rubbish is an issue here, which is a shame, really. Not everywhere, but especially not sort of in lovely villages. You don't see it. I think the locals obviously take care of it, but in places at the side of the road, lay-bys, things like that, just absolutely full of rubbish. And some of them have got rubbish bins, which people have used, but they've got full, and they don't seem to empty them. So I don't get that really. That's
another thing. It's quite good timing for where we are now. If you just look over here, you can see the remnants of a huge factory, and these concrete stanchions at the side of the road are all related to that factory. And this is an old metal processing plant. I don't think there's any of it working anymore.
I don't think so.
No, but there are remnants of the sort of industrial past, and also the communist past of Romania. We've heard them described as the skeletons of the past, which is quite a nice way of putting it. And they are a bit of an eyesore, to say the least, but also clearly getting rid of something like that and cleaning up the site is a very, very costly process. And it's something which this country sadly doesn't appear to have the resources to deal with just yet.
So Romania, we've loved you, absolutely we have. We would definitely come back sometime in our lives, and we'll recommend a trip to Romania to anybody that is looking for some adventure. There are some remarkably beautiful places, and we didn't get to see everything, so there's stuff still for us to see here, which is great. So thank you very much.
Stunning mountains. That is a major takeaway. Absolutely beautiful scenery. Really lovely place. Now here's an example of some work in progress. This is just the base layer of a new road. Beautiful new drains at the sides, just waiting for the top dressing on the road and the pavements to go in. But this is absolutely lovely. So when the investment goes in, fabulous roads. Sorry, I'm just distracted because the road has gone back to work at an earlier stage of its progress.
Look at this car.
Of this nice road. Yeah, look at this car at the side of the road.
What a shame. Oh, yes.
And this guy's washing his. Yeah, so this is what it looks like before they've done that really nice bit of tarmac that they did back there.
On the road south along the Black Sea coast today, we've just stopped off at this city. They're called Constanta. It's a very well known tourist location. It's got a beautiful big beach, if that's your thing. It's also the biggest port on the Romanian Black Sea coast. So there's an awful lot of ships out there waiting to dock.
Yes, an awful lot. We're going to have a walk down the promenade and then into the old town. See what's happening there.
There's lots of parking available. There's a huge one we've parked in here. You'll see signs for an app and a text message based payment system for your parking. We found that the app gave an error message saying it couldn't connect to the server, and of course we can't send a text message to a Romanian text number. So a very, very kind gentleman helped me find the proper traditional old-fashioned car park paying machines. Well, thanks for coming with us on our journey to the incredible Danube Delta and down the Black Sea coast of Romania. As we cross our next border into Bulgaria, we're moving on with our adventures. Please subscribe and check back next week when we continue our adventures into Bulgaria.